Hello, welcome to Giving Tuesday. I'm Angela Harris, Vice President of Community Engagement, Programming and Communications with DCTV. Washington, D.C. is home to over 12,000 nonprofit organizations. This represents over a quarter of the district's workforce. D.C. nonprofits give nearly $500 million annually to the district for a variety of services, and that doesn't include the countless hours of volunteer work done in our community. DCTV is committed to meaningful media. That means we proudly give a voice to those who are the least heard, and we speak meaningful dialogue about the important things that impact our community. In 2019, DCTV launched a new grant program for the purpose of helping nonprofit organizations to increase their communications capacity. We developed the grant with the guidance of nonprofit leaders who told us that getting the word out about the work they are doing is amongst the biggest challenges that they face, especially in a hyper-digital world. So we are here today to tell these stories, to make sure that these meaningful messages are seen and heard. Giving Tuesday is an annual event that began in 2012 as a way to spark the holiday giving season. It's celebrated on the first Tuesday after Thanksgiving each year. We hope that today's 24-hour special programming event will inspire you and will give you cause to join these organizations in the great work they are doing every day. So sit back and you'll be introduced to some of DCTV staff who will serve as the hosts for this one-of-a-kind special event. And happy holidays.
Hi, I'm Alvin Jones, production team leader here at DCTV. You know, DC is well known for its richness in culture and the performing arts. And not only are there a number of performing arts centers, there are also several performing arts nonprofit organizations that provide a variety of services, including teaching various forms of performing arts, as well as showcasing performances and telling stories in unique ways. Other types of organizations are dedicated to preserving cultures and telling the stories of our rich, diverse society. And we're about to introduce you to 5 nonprofit organizations who are doing just that in the DC area. They are Pointless Theater, the American Pops Orchestra, InterPLAY Orchestra, Rhythm Visions, INSERIES, the Dance Institute of Washington, and America's Islamic Heritage Museum. Let's take a look at the impact they are making in our community.
Once again, it's time for Impact Moment, where we give you great information and we find out things. And today we have Matt Breakaway, and he's going to tell us what is the point of the Pointless Theater. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having us.
You guys are called the Pointless Theater. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so we are a DC-based nonprofit theater company that creates original spectacle theater.
Now, what do you mean by spectacle theater?
Sure. So the work that you would see on our stage looks a little bit different from what you would expect on from a traditional play. Our mission is to blur the lines between puppetry, dance, music, live visual art, and traditional theater.
So it sounds like it's like a Disney show on stage.
It's mostly about creating pieces that would surprise an audience, telling stories in a way that you wouldn't traditionally see on stage.
Give us an example of that.
Our work has ranged from inspiration topics such as classic ballet to silent film to work that's inspired by historical events. We often look to the past to sort of get inspiration, but then try to mix it up a bit. We think about where we can employ puppetry, masks, any sort of dance form, usually with a live music element, and by the end of it, it creates something that looks not quite like a play, not quite like a dance piece, not quite like a concert, but sort of a mix of all those things together.
So it sounds like it's something that if someone's there, it's more of an experience. Give me an example of your biggest spectacled spectacle.
Well, each piece is pretty drastically different, but most recently I can tell you about a piece that we titled Forced Triage. Now this was a piece that was very heavily inspired by the very real events of the 2001 DC Sniper. We were all in high school when that happened, and that moment in time sort of left this lasting impact. So we knew that we wanted to have some sort of piece that explored that moment in time and what it meant for us. But as we started to really think about what that looked like, we started remembering the way that actually TV and the news media reported on it. And so we started asking ourselves, well, how can we really include that live footage element to it? So the piece ended up being this sort of spectacle of cameras and live screens. So as the audience watched the live actors on stage recounting, their fictional experience, there were other actors who were manipulating cameras through the space and live feeds all throughout the theater space, so that the audience was sort of challenged to decide where they were going to focus, whether they were going to see the live performer in front of them or whether they were going to see that filtered through this camera space, or whether it was going to be some sort of combination of both.
They've been with you for over a decade. Pointless Theater. They're our guest today on Impact Moment. For DCTV, I'm Alvin Jones. Thank you for watching.
Sunday close when you feel down and out.
To say that folks have not heard an orchestra before, or children have not heard an orchestra, is just shocking to me, and it really challenges APO to reach further, to build more bridges.
Turn about, that Sunday shine is a certain sign.
But I had a belief that this music will excite audiences. I had a belief that this music would bring new people to orchestras. But simultaneously, I wanted to make this music accessible to so many people, and to really make sure that we're also passing on this music to the next generation. We are an organization that did not stop when COVID hit. Between all of this, we have a Name That Tune series that we've been doing weekly live from my house. And we've been doing a series of porch concerts every 2 weeks with a very small, socially distanced audience.
I wish I was back there with the things I've been known.
And we go right into their gyms, their cafeterias, wherever they have for us to play, that's where we play. Being able to pass on the love of music to more kids, that's the dream scenario for me. We also have a very large initiative funded in part by the Capitol Hill Community Foundation and several other funders that help us provide free tickets to families in need all across DC. There are so many organizations that offer free tickets. That's not uncommon. But what is uncommon is that we commit blocks of seats in every price point. So the free tickets aren't just the ones in the back. The free tickets are right in the front. Follow us, join our family. We want to see you.
InterPLAY is an organization of adults with and without cognitive differences. It occurred to me quite a number of years ago that adults with cognitive disabilities needed to have music in their lives. And so one day it just occurred to me, okay, we need an orchestra. So I started one.
Alicia, you're on a triangle.
This is a great place. These are my friends right here. All of them are. We're a big family here at InterPLAY. It gives me peace and it gives me a chance to enjoy life.
This experience taught me that no matter what challenges come your way, you can overcome them. And it also taught me the power that music brings to everybody. My favorite part is just really working with the band members. I mean, they are so positive, they're upbeat, friendly, and they definitely brighten my day.
Every week, I take a deep breath and I think to myself, my son has a talent, his friends have talents, and everyone is recognizing them, respecting them, celebrating them. It's inspiring for everyone, for the volunteers, for the conductors, for the other members of the band, for the families. And the concerts are just amazing. There's nothing like InterPLAY anywhere.
Welcome to Impact Moment right here on DCTV. I'm Alvin Jones, and with Impact Moment, we've been bringing you information about organizations that are doing great things in Washington, D.C. So I am happy and proud to say that I have with me on this Zoom call, Ken Silverstein. He is the Managing Director of InterPLAY Orchestra. Ken, let them know you're here so they'll know that I'm telling the truth. How you doing?
I'm well, thanks.
Oh, thanks for coming on Impact Moment. Let's talk about the great things that InterPLAY Orchestra is doing in the community.
So we were started about 30 years ago by Paula Moore, who is our founder and artistic director. She has a son who has Down syndrome. And when he aged out of the programs here in Montgomery County, and he really didn't have any way to keep going with his love for music, to perform. So she founded InterPLAY, and the rest is history. We are, as I said, coming up on our 30th anniversary, and we serve a very special population. We do cover the region, but the majority of our participants are Montgomery County, but we have people from Virginia as well. And we are serving a population, adult population, that is really underserved when it comes to fulfilling their love for music. And so our orchestra members have cognitive disabilities, intellectual disabilities, physical disabilities. And we serve probably from about 23 and up is our primary group, if you will.
You know, I'm so glad that you, with InterPLAY Orchestra, is doing that, because a lot of folks don't understand. I have friends and family members who have children who are now adults with disabilities, and at a certain age, everybody just says, okay, you're on your own, but they're not on their own. So thank you for being there. Like you said, music is something that is universal. So when students, and I call them students because they're learning, come into InterPLAY Orchestra, what are some of the experiences that they get?
So each participant orchestra member gets a bag of instruments. They're handheld percussion instruments. And then we rehearse every Monday night. We are an education partner at Strathmore. Obviously, during this time, we're rehearsing remotely. But normally we'd be rehearsing there every Monday night. And we are providing them the opportunity to perform all genres of music. So we did a concert, The British Invasion. We've done classical. We've done international. So we cover all genres of music because they have the ability. We all have a music gene, and we just kind of zero in on that for them, and they all are able to participate playing their various percussion instruments. And then that's enhanced by our volunteer orchestra members, who we call Band-Aids. And these are either high school students who get student service learning hours, or many adults who just have the compassion that they want to help. And they all do have to play an instrument, so they do get to perform with us as well. And then we also bring in professional musicians to complement the orchestra when we do our concerts. And
speaking of professional musicians, I understand when he was alive, the great Dr. Billy Taylor, pianist extraordinaire, was a member of your advisory board.
Yes, he was. I never had the pleasure of meeting him. But yeah, Paula Moore, our artistic director and founder, has amazing connections in the community. And she was connected to Billy. You may be familiar with Daryl Davis, who's a top performer in the area. He has performed with us many times. He reached out to us, actually. So we've done some collaborations with other musicians in the area as well.
That's amazing. If someone wants to know more information about InterPLAY Orchestra, how could they find out?
So certainly check out our website, www.interplayorchestra.org, or they can certainly call me directly at 301-570-6664. And I'm happy to chat with anybody who wants to learn more about this wonderful orchestra.
Ken Silverstein, Managing Director with InterPLAY Orchestra, thank you for taking the time to join us right here on Impact Moment.
Thank you.
So once again, we've been able, in this time by Zoom, because right now while we're taping, the COVID crisis is still going on, to connect you with some great organizations, and that's what we try to do here on DCTV. So this has been another Impact Moment, and I am Alvin Jones.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Impact Moment right here on DCTV. I'm Alvin Jones, and we are still social distancing, but we really want to be able to get information out to you with people who are doing great things. And the person that I am getting ready to have the honor to interview is no exception. Her name is Renita Martin, and she is with Rhythm Visions Production Company. How you doing there?
I'm doing well. Hey, Alvin, how are you?
I am fantastic. First of all, thanks for coming on Impact Moment.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now let's talk about some of the great things that your organization does.
Sure. Well, we'll be 25 this year. We were founded in 1996, and we're devoted to advancing social and economic justice in our communities using art. And we have several programs. One of our most popular programs, which the season just closed, we start back in February, is called Rhymes and Rhythms. And it's an open mic performing arts series for DC artists.
Wow.
Yeah, we have artists of all genres perform.
And that's the great thing. You have so many talented people right here in Washington, D.C. You have a big bank to pull from.
Yes. I mean, of course, DC is full of great artists. And then with our programming, we've been fortunate enough to have artists who have come through our programming. We've been able to employ them in other programs. So our training programs really help us identify local artists and provide opportunities for them.
Now, you've been doing this for 25 years. What's your biggest joy in this?
I think the growth. We've had artists, and we've worked everywhere. We've worked everywhere from colleges to juvenile detention facilities, juvenile justice facilities. So we've worked everywhere, and I think it's to see the growth of the artist. We have artists who you see on TV who've worked with us, come through our programming, a Broadway artist. It's just exciting to see people who we met at a certain place who were just starting out and dedicated to craft and had this vision. And it's just great to see the vision fulfilled. And even for artists who don't necessarily go on to, say, Broadway or film and television, just to see them be able to use the arts, the skills that they've developed in our programming in different ways. We have artists who came through our program who are now lawyers and say that going through the acting program, developing their vocal talents has really propelled them as lawyers. So it's just great to see the art kind of informing work in all these diverse ways.
All right. How can people know more about your organization? Because it sounds like it is a fantastic organization to be a part of.
Yeah, people can check our website. We're at www.rhythmvisionsproductioncompany.com, all of the words. And they can go onto the site if they're interested in working with us. There's a link to sign up to work with us. They can check out our Facebook page. Our Facebook page is Rhythm Visions. Our Instagram page is Rhythm Visions. We're also on Twitter at Rhythm Visions. And they can see all the great work there. They can also call us at 347-703-1198.
I'll give that number one more time. Operators are standing by.
347-703-1198.
Renita Martin with Rhythm Visions Production Company. Thank you so very much for coming on Impact Moment.
Thank you, Alvin. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure, and thank you for all the great things you do. For Impact Moment, I'm Alvin Jones right here on DCTV.
When I was young, I was plagued by fear and self-pity. Drinking made me care less about my insecurities.
My life was in shambles, and I was trying to figure out how to pick up the pieces.
At first, I never drank on the job, but eventually I did.
Removing alcohol wasn't enough. It left me depressed and lonely. That's where AA offered a solution.
The people I met thought like me. For the first time in my life, I felt like I wasn't so crazy.
I remember sitting in the AA meeting and thinking, I finally found a place where I belong.
I never thought I could have made it through those hard times as the happy person I am today.
AA not only keeps me sober, it helps me live a much better life.
I found out I can do this thing, one day at a time. I've never been happier in my life. If you have a problem with alcohol, contact AA. It works for me.
And for me.
And for me.
Once again, it's time for Impact Moment right here on DCTV. I'm Alvin Jones, and today I have with me the CEO of INSERIES. It's Tim Nelson. Tim, how you doing today?
I'm good. It's nice to be out here finally.
It is fun. Listen, you know, music is the way of life. And they always say it's not over to the opera's not over till the fat lady sings, right? But people always refer to opera, and it's one of the oldest forms of music, and it tells a story. Why is opera important?
Well, we always say that what we do is make opera that matters, which of course begs the question, doesn't it always matter? And our answer to that is no, usually it doesn't, but it doesn't matter in spectacular ways. It is spectacularly wasteful. It's of human capital, of spiritual capital. It's spectacularly big and misogynistic and racist, and it could go on and on and on. But at the heart of it, it has the potential, because it combines so many of the arts, it has the potential to make people's lives better, we believe, in deep, meaningful, impactful ways. And it's that potential that we're always chasing.
Well, you know, a lot of people think that opera is something fuddy-duddy and it doesn't relate to them. But there's a reason when people watch All My Children, Days of Our Lives, and all those programs, they call them soap operas. As a matter of fact, The Who, they call that a rock opera.
Yep.
And George Clinton with Parliament Funkadelics, when he decided to do the whole concept of the mothership connection, he called that a funk opera. So opera is a part of our lives.
Yeah, when we feel that when the human experience gets so intense that it's past the point of language, that's when it becomes music. And that's why opera moves in a way that no other art form can.
And what are some of those ways?
It touches the soul, of course, in a way that is ineffable, where words can't go. I once read an article about a woman who she said she always hated opera, and when she got late in life and her mother died, she finally understood why at that point one needs to sing, that there are no words anymore.
Ah, you know what? That's one of the reasons that music and drama are important, because a lot of times people have feelings in their heart and they don't know how to express them. So they go to a movie, they listen to a song, they go to an opera.
And there's a line of scripture actually that I think is talking about opera, where it says, sighs too deep for words.
Ooh. And sometimes, like they say, a word can't describe it. There's no words to describe this. So let's talk about INSERIES. How do you guys approach opera, and what are you doing to make it so that people understand that opera is very important in their lives?
Well, like I said, we believe that opera has the potential to change lives, to make our communities better in real ways, in measurable ways, in immediate ways. And we define that as justice. And so our modus operandi is that art, and by extension opera, which is unconcerned with justice, is obscene. And the work we do every day is to go out there and to try and change people's perceptions of, we say, the who, what, where, and why of opera. So who gets to make opera, what gets to be defined as an opera, where operas happen in our community, and then why it matters, which is why I say what we do is make opera that matters.
Give me some examples of your progress on this.
So in recent years, one project we did last year was a community-based performance. It took place in Foundry United Methodist Church here in DC, so collaboration is a big part of what we do. And the audience moved throughout the piece in the sanctuary, and they were led by a series of community volunteer guides, many from the immigrant community. And it was a piece about what it means for people to go on a migrant journey and to arrive in a strange land and to seek hospitality, and what does it mean to offer hospitality.
And what you did is so basically you had different sets where people would move from one location to the other.
They would move in all parts of the sanctuary they'd never been, up by the altar, into the balcony, and the musicians would travel with them. And so in that way, the audience became a migrant caravan themselves.
That's the point. Ding, ding, ding. That's the point I wanted to hit, is that you let folks know what it felt like to be a migrant by making them migrants.
And particularly moving was that they were being guided by people who had made this journey themselves.
That was brilliant. Who came up with that? Was that you?
That was me.
That was you.
It's a piece I've wanted to do for about 15 years now, and who knew 15 years ago this would still be the dominant issue?
Wait a minute. So this happened 15 years ago in your mind?
In my mind.
Okay, so now, in the last 15 years, you probably had some other things, right?
There's a lot in there.
Right. All right. So what we found out is 15 years ago, Tim had this idea. It was brilliant. And so now we want the rest of them.
Well, the funny thing is we had a whole season
ideas.
planned, and 4 months ago the world changed, and now our plans have entirely changed. We're doing an all virtual season this year. In 2 weeks, we'll open a online new digital platform that's just for opera, that acts like a performing arts center. So it has different venues inside that have different types of content. It has an educational annex. It has a bar for people to hang out and socialize remotely distance. It has a backstage door just for subscribers, and the big thing is it's free to the whole world. In
the words of Robert De Niro, you got something here.
I hope so.
So how can people get more information? Where can they tune into? How can they get?
Our website is the entrance to everything. Is www.inseries.org.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, there it is. You know, opera is music, it's story, it's all into one. So this may be your time to check out opera. We'd like to thank the CEO of INSERIES, Tim Nelson, right here on Impact Moment. I'm Alvin Jones, and this, of course, is DCTV.
Texting is a great way to communicate, even for scammers. And it's pretty simple for them to steal your identity. If any bill collector contacts you, making demands or offering refunds by text message, wait. Don't share any of your personal information, such as account or social security numbers. Hang up and call the provider back with the number on your monthly bill to confirm any charges. Contact the Public Service Commission or the police to report scammers. Fight utility scams. The power is yours.
Welcome to Impact Moment right here on DCTV. I'm Alvin Jones, and we're outside social distancing And guess who I have with me today? It's Kahina Haynes with the Dance Institute of Washington. How are you?
I'm doing well. I cannot complain. Feeling excited. This is a busy time for dance schools.
Dance, I think, is what people need right now.
You're right. I would agree that dance is definitely needed now more than ever. A conversation we've been having at Dance Institute is how movement and expressing sentiments we can't say with words is really critical, not just for our youth, which is the population we focus on, but also for the community. So at Dance Institute of Washington, we're rooted in community. We're actually located in Columbia Heights, and we specialize in advancing equity and representation and pre-professional training. So what that means is the world-class training experience for any student who is particularly gifted, committed, and passionate about becoming a dancer or any career affiliated with the professional dance industry has the resources to do that at their disposal. So we're very much in the midst of how do we craft that experience and maintain that virtually right now.
Wow. Now, what are the age ranges?
Absolutely. We start as early as 3, so we currently have 3-year-olds taking dance lessons.
Oh, okay. So I guess if your grandmother taught you ballet at 3,
there
you would
absolutely
run an organization that would let 3-year-olds
that is correct.
Start learning ballet.
Yeah, that is correct.
Does it sound like anybody we know?
That is correct. That is me. That is my narrative. I did start under the tutelage of my grandma at age 3. She ran a dance school. My mother was also a dancer, and so I didn't really have a choice. So I kind of straight out dancing.
You came out dancing.
Absolutely.
I could dance before I could walk.
Pretty much. My first language.
First language.
Absolutely.
How has this whole pandemic, the COVID-19, now going into 20, how's it affected teaching dance?
That's a really good question. I think for DIW specifically, it's uniquely impacted us because there is so much built into the actual on-site experience. Our students have peer-to-peer relationships that get cultivated. They have a sense of community, a sense of kinship, and our teachers are a part of that. So figuring out how to maintain that sense of connection was a challenge, and we actually spent a lot of time not just figuring out the logistics, but working with our faculty on how to make sure we could carry that over, transition that virtually. So we actually dedicated space in our schedule, not just to class instruction, but to just open, safe space for our students to start to rebuild those kinds of connections, talk, ask questions, be open, be free, share their concerns, and that really helped our teachers as we started the programming virtually, to help them feel like they still had that connection to every single individual student. For our older students, that has been a game changer. I'm very proud of it. And I observe a lot of the classes, and I watch them not only maintain, but actually advance in their training during this time, believe it or not. Because they've had conversations with themselves, they've had experiences that they've really gotten to tap into with this time and this space, learn themselves, and that is coming through the movement. Like, it's really beautiful to watch, actually.
Really, when it comes to dance, it's more than just movement, it's interpretation. How does that movement make you feel? Can you, like you say, can I talk to you and communicate with you without even saying a word?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And one of the things we did this summer, we actually gave our students a choreography assignment, totally independent. So this is what I mean when I talk about the virtual programming. If you really get innovative and creative with it, it can afford the students opportunities that they may not get just in the classroom. You know, that's fast. In the classroom, out the classroom, on to the next class. There aren't really those spaces for them to reflect and have those moments. But with this assignment, they were tasked with really articulating some pretty profound concepts, emotions, thoughts, questions. They were tasked with how to convey that through, I believe it was an 8 count or 8 measure and 8 count phrase. And man, I observed some performances that I had not seen all year from some of these students. It was remarkable. And we surveyed them after and asked them how that made them feel. And that was the most rewarding part, is that they were just expressing a sense of satisfaction. They felt like they had gotten out things that they couldn't find the words to say for months. So, major difference.
Wow, it's like they found their voice by dancing.
Absolutely.
Or in the words of Charles Wright, express yourself.
Exactly right.
For someone who's interested in learning more about the Dance Institute of Washington, how could they find that out?
Absolutely. I would say the first place is our website. We are currently closed to the public due to COVID-19, but all of our information is on our website, www.danceinstituteofwashington.org, and definitely our social media. Thanks to our students, we've really come a long way with that.
Kahina Haynes, thank you so very much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. It was a really a pleasure.
Get your move on. Get your move on. It's a groove to move. Am I right?
Yes.
Say it. Tell them. It's a move to groove. It's a groove to move.
It's a groove to move.
There you go. For Impact Moment, right here on DCTV, I'm Alvin Jones.
Islam in America came and was introduced as a religion for freedom, justice, and equality. Justice for all and equality for all. There's so many narratives, so many stories that we felt that people needed to know, that we've been a part of American fabric. When visitors come here, they're amazed at the depth of the museum, the history within the museum, international guests, taken back at the contributions that Muslims have made in the United States as mayors, as judges, police officers, fallen soldiers.
It amazes me, all of the history in this little building. And this isn't even half of the history of the journey of the American Muslims from the 1800s to the present.
For the last 7 years, we've been engaging in the community. At least feed the community twice a year, hot meals, 500 each meal in January and in October. We give out school supplies, backpacks, hygiene kits.
It is a community-wide event. We have lines backed up from the front door all the way down the corner and around the block.
That we will secure a new home in the near future. If that home does not exist here in Southeast, we will look for a satellite space so that we can continue to work here in Martin Luther King Avenue on Ward 8. No matter what, God willing, we will have some space here that we will service this community. That is my heart's commitment.
Welcome to Impact Moment right here on DCTV. I'm Alvin Jones, and even though we are social distancing, we're still close to the heart. And we've got information for you that is important, and I got a person who's got some great information. His name is Mr. Amir Muhammad, and he is the president and CEO of America's Islamic Heritage Museum. How you doing, Mr. Muhammad?
Welcome, thank you.
Let folks know about this museum, how it got started, and all the great things that it does for the community.
We got started in 1996 as a museum without walls, where we first started collecting and gathering information about the history of Muslims in America, listening to the different stories, the different narratives, traveling up and down the East Coast and even going out the Midwest. Once we finally got a pretty well-defined collection, we've had the exhibits at different museums. Anacostia Museum hosted it, I think, in 2005. The Sabos Museum in the Chicago, Detroit area also hosted the museum. We've been overseas with the exhibit. Then in 10 years ago, we found a location here on Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. And within that location, we developed a 6-room exhibit space that told the story of Muslims in America. Then within 3 years of being open, we extended and expanded our activities into community engagement. We started doing monthly food distribution. We were located around a lot of schools. So we found a lot of students started coming by. So then we started this after-school snack program.
So it sounds like America's Islamic Heritage Museum provides a bridge for folks to give information and to show how the Islamic community and Islamic Americans have not only been a part of America, but helped preserve America.
Yes. And we've watched it grow over the years. Over 110,000 people have visited the museum. People have brought in students from West Virginia, all around parts around the country, to come see and learn about America's diversity, Muslim American history, and to see, like a lot of people don't know, like Coney Island in New York, with the first European that was settled, there was a Muslim, Anthony Van Jameson. You know, and then if you look at some of the heroes in the War of 1812, there was a community down there in Georgia, a Muslim community, that was amongst the Gullah people. He told his slave owner, he said, I got 80 men to help defend this island. I can't count on the other slaves that you own. But he identified 80 members within his community, and his name is Bilali Muhammad, out of Sapo Island in Georgia. This history is there. It's a very rich history. You'll see it in American cemeteries, tombstones with fallen soldiers with crescents on it. You see it all throughout. You know, we've been hook-winked, as Malcolm said in the famous movie. I think that Muslims wasn't part of American fabric. If you go back, even look into Virginia's history during the Civil War, some of the soldiers that helped win the Civil War battle in Fredericksburg, they wore Algerians' Muslim uniforms, and some of them were immigrants that fought in that battle. And then there's photographs and paintings about these Algerians or Muslim Americans that modeled themselves as the models of the Algerian war soldiers. You'll see it all throughout, even in America's Islamic architecture. Matter of fact, a lot of people don't realize that the George Washington Monument wouldn't have been as tall as it is now if it wasn't for a Muslim from Turkey, a country donating the rest of the money to help finish building it up. The first country to acknowledge America's freedom and independence was Morocco. It has the longest standing peace treaty with the United States. There's so many documents within American history and within some of our founding fathers' ideas and concepts was very inclusive of all human beings, Muslim, Jews, Christians, all of us.
Wow, it's actually amazing. So once again, it's been another Impact Moment. It has been my pleasure to have on our episode this time Mr. Amir Muhammad, the President and CEO of America's Islamic Heritage Museum. Assalamu alaikum.
Well, like my son, Mr. Jones. Thank you.
All right. For Impact Moment, I'm Alvin Jones right here on DCTV.
Hi, I'm Julia Reardon, Grants Manager and Associate Producer at DCTV. Thank you for joining us on this special day of programming as we pay tribute to the amazing and critical work that nonprofit organizations are doing to make an impact in our community each and every day. The DCTV Grant Program was established in 2019 to help nonprofit organizations to learn marketing communications best practices and to provide digital media assets to help them in telling their story. Each grant cycle is 1 year-long program. We launched our first cycle in August of 2019, and amid the global pandemic, we welcomed a second cycle of grantees that we are thrilled to formally announce here. These are the recipients of the second cohort group of grantees who joined us earlier this year. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, we're pushing forward and helping grantees now more than ever to find innovative ways to make impact during these times. So, congratulations to our second cohort grant award recipients. We invite all nonprofit organizations who serve the Washington, D.C. community to apply for the DCTV Nonprofit Capacity Building Grant. We award grants twice a year, in January and in July. If your organization is interested in applying for a DCTV Nonprofit Capacity Building Grant, please visit us online at dctv.org/grants to find out more about the program and how to apply. You can always sign up to attend one of our info sessions to get an in-depth overview of all this grant has to offer. Let us help your organization to tell quality stories about the important work that you do to make a positive impact in our community. We look forward to working with you.
Hi, my name is Adrienne Quinn. I'm a freelance camera operator, producer, and director. If it were not for DCTV, I would not be where I am today. A few years ago, I transitioned careers. I was referred to DCTV during that time as a place to just see if this was what I wanted to focus on and return to school to study. I was fortunate to build a foundation of skills through the classes, state-of-the-art equipment, and volunteer experiences. Now, I am making a living doing what I love. This is my DCTV story. DCTV is meaningful media making an impact.
A260C amplifies the voices of DC youth through imaginative and effective writing education. Our storefront is Tivoli's Astounding Magic Supply Company, Deluxe Haberdashery and Illusionarium. It allows our students a space to enter that feels distinct from anywhere else that they would be learning. It feels different from home, it feels different from school, but it is a place where true learning happens, and they are members of this space.
I did good in my test. I passed it. Next thing you know, A+.
Our students are authoring their paths forward every time they put the pencil down, every time they step to the keyboard. And I consider myself lucky to be on a team that gets to advance that work here in DC every single day.
If there is a cure for cancer, would you get on board? Would you do it?
The National Cervical Cancer Coalition is a program under the American Sexual Health Association. We are volunteer-led with women who have had some sort of experience of HPV or cervical cancer because we pretty much have a better idea of the support that's needed with women and families and caregivers within our community.
When I realized that survivorship means that I am a part of a community that is dedicated in helping others understand the causes and the cures, the treatment and the assistance, I am proud to say I am a survivor.
For more information, go to our website, nccc-online.org.